Okay, welcome to a new episode of Nate's MMA Corner. I'm Nate, and if you watch my show, you're in my corner. Today's episode is a post-fight show for UFC Fight Night. Overeem vs. Arlovski. Heavyweight clash of the ages. One of the greatest heavyweight fights of all time. And I called it too. Perfect call on this one. Second round knockout for Alistair Overeem. The first round would be a feeling out process. Yeah, so it's a post-fight show. Run down to the main card. See if I was right, wrong on my predictions, and yep. So let's go. So yeah, the main event was Alistair Overeem versus Andre the Pitbull Arlovski, two top 5 ranked heavyweights going into this fight. Arlovski landed some good, clean punches the first round, some good combinations on Overeem against the cage. And Arlovski was going for it. He was trying to get that first round knockout, and wasn't a bad idea. If I were his coaches, I probably would have said the same thing too, because it's possible to do that to a fighter like Overeem. However, Alistair Overeem, he had good footwork, and he moved out of the pocket when he was able to, and he blocked a lot of shots. So it was a smart striking for Alistair Overeem. And then yeah, the second round it was TKO, crane kick, and punches. 1 minute and 12 seconds into the second round, Alistair Overeem gets the finish. Now he, in my opinion, should get a title shot. The winner of this fight should have got a title shot. Should get a title shot because I mean, it's just multiple wins like this against top ranked opponents, top 10 opponents for Alistair Overeem, and then had Arlovski won, he would have beat the number 3 ranked guy, winning this match. So you know, this fight had heavy stakes, no pun intended, going into it, and yeah, it was great. Alistair Overeem did his thing, got the finish. He's one of my favorite fighters. I like Arlovski too. I was sad to see him lose. Yeah, then the co-main event was Struve versus Antonio Silva. This one I called spot on. It would be a quick first round knockout for Struve. I knew he would use his kickboxing, use his reach, his height advantage over Antonio Silva. And yeah, it was knee to the body and elbows. And it was only 15 seconds into the first round. Great fight. Great comeback win after going through a slouch in his career for Struve. Yeah, he needed this win to not only stay relevant, but to stay in the UFC quite possibly, because I have the winner of this fight staying in the UFC, the loser of this fight leaving the UFC. If they don't cut Antonio Silva at this point, I will be shocked. But if they keep him, I mean, I get it, he sells tickets, so either way, I could understand, but I won't be surprised if they cut Antonio Silva now after this fight. Yeah, then in the welterweight division, this was the only fight I got wrong on the whole main card, out of the 6-fight main card, and I'm glad I was wrong, because I'm a big Gunnar Nelson fan. I wanted him to win, but I didn't think he was going to win, and yeah, he won submission rear naked choke, and that was the second round, 3 minutes and 15 seconds. I knew when he got top position in the last half of that first round, and then he was able to stun Albert in this fight. I knew that going into the second round, it gave a lot of leverage, and also Gunnar let his hands go. Had he let his hands go in the Rick Story fight, had he let his hands go in the Damian Maia fight and avoided the ground game of Damian Maia, I think he could have outpointed Damian Maia and won a decision, and not been in positions where he was getting dominated in the ground by Damian Maia. I think it was a bad move. So I think Nelson has all the potential in the world to be a top 5 rank welterweight. I don't know if he'll win the title anytime soon, but I can definitely see him lurking in that top 5 of the welterweight division in the UFC. So yeah, Gunnar Nelson, I think used a lot of his potential today, letting his hands go in that first round, really made a difference. and he timed his punches just right. And then he worked the ground game when it looked like there was an opening, not just trying to force feed it too much. Because yeah, we know he has great skills, we know he's a killer jiu-jitsu practitioner, but it doesn't mean you have to just rely on that one thing all the time. And he mixed things up, and he let his hands go in that first round, and it set things up for the stuff he wants to do, which is grappling and submissions. So it worked out for Nelson pretty well in this fight, and I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him. And yeah, it's like right now, I like Robbie Lawler as welterweight champ, but I feel like Gunnar Nelson could make the welterweight division great again. I'm just as a joke, because I'm wearing the Trump shirt, so instead of saying "Make America Great Again," he'll make the welterweight division great again. Little joke there, for you guys keeping up with the election. Anyways, but yeah, I like our current welterweight UFC champion Robbie Lawler, but I feel like the welterweight division's been overall just kind of like just getting by, and I think a guy like Gunnar is shaking things up, especially if he can crack that top 5. Then in the women's bantamweight division, we had Germaine de Randamie, and she was against the Danish striker Anna Elmos. And Anna Elmos, she's a newbie to the UFC, and Germaine, she's a lightning fast Dutch-style kickboxing extraordinaire, and she put on a clinic. TKO, knees to the body and punch, round 1, 3 minutes and 46 seconds. Yeah, Germaine, I knew that her striking would win her this match. I wasn't sure how dominating, but it was pretty darn dominating. You could tell after the first minute that she had it made, and it was just a matter of time before the setup and a good combination would land in her favor. Yeah, Germaine de Randamie, she's a top 15 ranked women's bantamweight for a reason, and her takedown defense is great. She's trained at AKA with some of the best grapplers, and she's definitely gotten better, just all around, and her striking was already great to begin with, so the sky's the limit for Germaine. I think she'll definitely, in the near future, crack that top 10, at the very least, the bottom of that top 10. And yeah, then in the light heavyweight division, we had Nikita Krylov versus Francimar Barroso, and this was submission rear naked choke in the second round, 3 minutes 11 seconds. And yeah, Nikita Krylov, I knew he would get a finish here. I wasn't sure how quick it would be. He did good in this fight. It was a good win against a veteran like Francimar. Yeah, Francimar, he's had a lot of great fights over the years in the UFC. And yeah, Nikita Krylov, I mean, he's always exciting. He always has a big knockout or submission finish if he wins. And this fight was no exception, getting the rear naked choke in exciting fashion in the second round. So yeah, Nikita Krylov, he's definitely in that top 15 ranks. The light heavyweight division, and it's definitely going to be exciting to see more of him down the line. Then to kick off the main card, we had in a women's strawweight bout, Karolina Kowalkiewicz, versus Heather Jo Clark. Kowalkiewicz, well, I'll just say Karolina. Yeah, anyways, it's a really long Polish last name. You get what I'm talking about. It's Karolina, anyways. Yeah, Karolina, I knew, her striking. She looked great in Invicta. Heather Jo Clark, she was in Invicta. Both these are Invicta veterans, and they're going out in the UFC now. And it was, this, I think, should have got fight of the night. This was, Heather Jo Clark held her own against a top-level striker, and she really put on a clinic at times, landing, I believe, heavy head kick and some good combinations and punches against a top-level striker in Karolina. And Karolina, of course, put on a striking clinic, and this was, each person trying to take, clinch with them, and then they were turning each other around against the cage, and they were just going at it back and forth. But I mean, Carolina narrowly won, I think, at least 2, if not all 3 of the rounds. But Heather Jo Clark, I mean, she really put up a fight in each one of those rounds. She was really trying to make an impression and get that quick win if it was there, and if not, at least a dominating decision if she was able to. And unfortunately, she was not able to. Carolina had the better striking still, but props to Heather Jo Clark. I mean, she put on a striking clinic of her own and held her own, and definitely didn't make an easy night for Carolina. So there you have it. Carolina won. It was 29-28 on 2 of the judges and 30-27 on the 3rd judge for Carolina. And Carolina definitely is in that top 10 of women's strawweight, and I think we could definitely see her fight somewhere in that middle of the top 10 now. Yeah, she's looking good in the women's strawweight division now for sure. And Heather Jo Clark, I think she'll bounce back in her next fight. I think she could win her next fight depending on who it is, but I mean, she's well-rounded enough, and she's an experienced veteran, and she's, I think, learned from her losses in the past and learned from her wins as well. So there you have it. There is my post-fight wrap-up of the main card, and stay tuned for my next episode. I'm insanely excited about, because all you guys know I love the heavyweights, and the heavyweight title's end-all and be-all title for me, and that's Fabricio Werdum defending the undisputed UFC heavyweight title against another one of my favorites, and Stipe Miocic. So that, my pre-fight show will be my next episode for that card, UFC 198 for the heavyweight title. And until then, see ya.